Hello there, welcome to my channel. Vamos a empezar con una pregunta para abrir el vídeo de hoy. ¿Cuántas palabras sabes entender en inglés, pero no usas casi nunca? Lo cierto es que entendemos muchas más palabras de las que usamos normalmente. Y te voy a hacer otra pregunta. ¿Qué palabras sueles usar más frecuentemente? Pues posiblemente usarás más a menudo aquellas palabras que se asimilen más a tu lengua nativa. Por ejemplo, si estamos pensando en un hispanohablante que va a hablar inglés, pues a la palabra proyecto la llamaríamos project. La palabra problema diríamos problem. La palabra propuesta diríamos proposal. Y todas estas palabras son correctas y se pueden usar perfectamente. Pero si lo que quieres es destacar en una conversación en inglés o lo que quieres es impresionar a tu oyente, lo que te propongo es que a partir de hoy intentes incorporar en tu vocabulario algunas palabras que no se usan mucho por personas que no son nativas de inglés, pero sí que se usan por hablantes nativos de inglés. En este vídeo te voy a ayudar a que hagas este ejercicio. Y esto es porque he recopilado 10 palabras que no se usan mucho por hispanohablantes, pero sí que se usan mucho por nativos de lengua inglesa. Vamos a ver cómo se pronuncian las palabras y vamos a dar las explicaciones que correspondan para saber usarlas correctamente en el contexto adecuado y de la forma más adecuada, tanto con explicaciones como también con ejemplos. Si ya estás suscrito a mi lista de emails, habrás recibido ya el PDF con la transcripción de todas las palabras que vamos a ver en este vídeo, así como las explicaciones y los ejemplos. Si no estás suscrito y quieres recibir el PDF, lo único que tienes que hacer es darle clic al link abajo en la descripción del vídeo, poner tu correo electrónico y suscribirte a mi lista de emails. Te llegarán tanto este PDF como también futuros PDFs que vaya creando en los próximos vídeos. My name is Kay Maudsley. I am a lawyer working at a pharmaceutical company and I am certified by Cambridge to teach English to adults. In this channel, we talk about how to improve your business English to sound more professional and feel more confident when using English at work. So without further ado, let's dive in. So the first word today is to encourage. To encourage. Encourage means to make someone more likely to do something or make something more likely to happen. Encourage in Spanish means alentar, but I don't think alentar is used as much as it is encourage in English. So encourage is a good word and very useful to remember. Encourage is a very good word to use when you want to make someone do something, but you still want to sound polite and you want to use a positive, non-aggressive language. Encourage is usually used to make suggestions more than to give instructions. Imagine you want your staff to do something that they're not obliged to do as employees. For example, you want your staff to attend to a business dinner party, or you want your staff to attend to a training course. You can say, the staff must attend to the business dinner party, or the staff must attend to the training course. But this will probably sound a bit too harsh given the context. If you want to sound a little bit softer, you could say, let's encourage the staff to attend the training course, or let's encourage the staff to attend the business dinner party. It would be sort of like saying, let's persuade the staff to do something. Let's persuade the staff to attend the dinner party. Let's convince them to attend to the training course. Word number 2 is likely. Likely. Likely is used to express that something will probably happen or is expected. Likely is a very good word to use because it's easy to say and to use and is not very common among non-native English speakers. Likely in Spanish would be probable, and probable makes us think of probable, and that's why Spanish speakers would usually say probable rather than likely. So it's a good word if you want to stand out. An example could be, considering the client's requirements, it's likely we'll need to make some adjustments to the plan. It's likely we'll need to make some adjustments to the plan. In Spanish, the sentence would be, teniendo en cuenta los requerimientos del cliente, es probable que tengamos que hacer algún ajuste en el plan. Word number 3 is streamline. To streamline. To streamline means to make a process, a business, or similar, simpler and more effective by removing unnecessary steps or requirements. In Spanish, the closest word to streamline would be agilizar, dinamizar o simplificar. And an example of Streamline would be, we have implemented a new software to streamline the payroll process. We have implemented a new software to streamline the payroll process. In Spanish, the sentence would be, hemos implementado un nuevo software para simplificar el proceso de nóminas. Word number 4 is minor. Minor. Minor means having little importance or little effect, especially when compared to similar things. I personally used minor a lot, especially when I am reviewing a document and I want to say that I have included minor changes or minor comments, which means that I have included changes that can be easily solved. It can also convey the idea that the document was generally good or that you agreed with the document overall. An example of minor could be, here's my review. The document only needs a few minor changes before it's ready to be submitted. In Spanish, it would be, aquí tienes mi revisión. Solo hace falta añadir algún cambio pequeño antes de entregarlo. Word number 5 is concern. Concern. Concern means to worry, but there is a difference between to worry and to be concerned. To worry in Spanish means preocuparse, and you could use preocuparse in a business setting. But in most cases, you wouldn't use worry in a work environment. Worry sounds like you are personally engaged with the issue, whereas concern is more formal and more fact-based. That's why concern is probably more suitable for a work environment in general. Concern in Spanish can also be translated as preocupación or as inquietud o duda. An example would be, I wanted to discuss a minor concern I have about the upcoming launch. I wanted to discuss a minor concern I have about the upcoming launch. Now notice that in this sentence I've used concern and I've also used minor, which is the word that we were studying in our previous example. In Spanish, the sentence would be, quería comentarte una pequeña preocupación que tengo sobre el próximo lanzamiento. Number 6 is certainly. Certainly. Certainly is used to emphasize something or to show that there's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it, certainly. Certainly is very useful when you want to agree to something or you want to agree to a request. For example, instead of saying yes, sure, or okay when someone requests you something, you can say certainly, and it's much more formal and it sounds very professional. Certainly, there's no doubt about it. An example could be, could you send me the report by the end of the day? Certainly. It just sounds very good and it's not used as much as it should. Word number 7 is become. To become. To become means to start to be something. Start to be something. Become. Become in Spanish means llegar a ser algo o convertirse en algo. But I can't quite find the exact word of become in Spanish. To become in English would also mean to get or to grow into something, but become it's much more formal than to get or to grow into, so is generally more suitable for a work environment. An example would be, as we expand our customer base, customer satisfaction has become a priority for a team. As we expand our customer base, customer satisfaction has become a priority for a team. In Spanish, it would be, a medida que ampliamos nuestra base de clientes, la satisfacción del cliente se ha convertido en una prioridad para nuestro equipo. Word number 8 is slightly. Slightly, and I like this word quite a lot. Slightly, which means a little. If you want to express that something is in a small amount or in a small degree, you would usually use a little or a bit or a little bit, and these words are okay, but if you want to use a more formal word, you can use slightly. For example, you could say, we have to modify this a bit, we have to modify this a little bit, or you could say, we have to slightly modify this, which sounds more professional. So slightly, it's a bit more suitable for business settings. In Spanish, slightly would mean levemente, but levemente is not used as much as slightly in English. An example of the word slightly could be, I'm slightly behind on the project timeline, so I will need more time to complete it. I'm slightly behind on the project timeline, so I will need more time to complete it. In Spanish, the sentence would be, estoy un poco atrasado en el proyecto, así que necesitaré más tiempo para completarlo. Word number 9 is to handle. To handle. To handle means to deal with something, to have responsibility for, or to be in charge of something. To handle in Spanish would be manejar o llevar algo en el sentido de gestionar algo. So, for example, if you say, has llevado la reunión con el cliente muy bien, in English would be, you handled the meeting with the client very well. Synonyms of to handle are to deal with, and also to manage and to address. And actually, to manage and to address are also verbs that sound very good in a business settings. To address is also a good word to remember and to stand out if you use it. To handle can also mean to be able to cope with something or to remain in control of something. So, for example, if you say, oh, let's see if I can handle it. Like, let's see if I can cope with it. Let's see if I can manage. An example would be, our team is well equipped to handle the increased workload during the holiday season. Our team is well equipped to handle the increased workload during the holiday season. In Spanish, the sentence would be, nuestro equipo tiene los recursos suficientes para gestionar el aumento de trabajo durante la época de vacaciones. So you can see that handle has like a business-like tone, a more formal tone that makes it very suitable for a business setting. And the last one, number 10, is hardly. Hardly any, hardly ever, hardly anywhere, hardly anybody. But let's focus on hardly ever and hardly any on this one. Hardly ever is used to emphasize little frequency of something. In Spanish would be casi nunca. And the literal translation of casi nunca is almost never, which is correct in English, but it's not commonly used by native speakers. So you would usually say hardly ever. Hardly any is used to show a lack of something or little quantity of something. In Spanish, it would be apenas. Now, hardly ever and hardly any are hardly ever used by non-native speakers. Maybe not hardly ever, but certainly not often used by non-native speakers. So using hardly ever and hardly any will help you to stand out. An example with hardly ever would be, our products hardly ever experience manufacturing defects. Our products hardly ever experience manufacturing defects. In Spanish, the sentence would be, nuestros productos casi nunca experimentan defectos de fabricación. And an example with hardly any would be, we have found hardly any errors in the final draft of the report. We have found hardly any errors in the final draft of the report. In Spanish, that would mean, no hemos encontrado casi ningún error en el borrador final del informe. So this is all for today. Espero que os haya gustado y que hayas aprendido un poco. Y nos vemos en el siguiente vídeo. Bye!